Welcome back, guys. I got the Summers on here, and they're on here for a very specific reason. I put some pictures of this thing up on Facebook, and there was like a ton of people that were like, you've got to come to Boxerfest. Like, somebody actually said that they would sword fight someone if I was not there. I got some tickets. I'm waiting for a response to see if it's going to get accepted into the show. I'm going to start spitting out some videos. I've got a ton of old footage, and I'd like to get as much of it out before Boxerfest as I can, so that I can take this thing down there all done and get like reaction videos and stuff. I asked everybody, should I leave it up with the muds on it, or should I drop it down with the Summers on it like it has right here? Everybody said they love the Mad Max vibe of it, and they wanted to see it, you know, jacked up. But I hate these wheels. These are literally just the hand-me-down wheels from my girl's car. These are heavy as well. So not only do I want a lighter wheel on the car I care more about, but also I need to do it quick. So at this point, it's like the 6th. Boxerfest is on the 21st. I've got about 200 miles on like that build, which, I mean, believe me, I'm still tweaking stuff in the tune. I'm trying to take care of like heat under the engine bay because the intake temps are crazy. I used to be like 10 above ambient because of the snorkel and, you know, the routing and everything that I had done with the intake on this. But now that it's got that turbo in there and there's a cone on it, yeah, the intake temps are getting up to like, I've seen as high as like 160. I'd like to get that down because I don't want to melt stuff. I don't want to lose all that timing. You know, there's a lot of things that heat is detrimental of. So we're going to get that under control. Also, the Outback, the mass airflow sensor, completely maxed out at like before $6,000, and that's just at 20 psi. We're going to take these tires, put them on those wheels, clean them up, paint them black, stick them on that car, because I would bet that they're 5 pounds lighter each. That's like a half a second and a quarter mile. And I just drive this thing to work. I mean, I drive that one to work too, but like I have hundreds of hours into that one. I'm gonna bust some tires out here and get some wheels cleaned up and painted. Just wanted to show you guys that we've got these on there. This thing is back in off-road mode with some wheels that are about 5 pounds lighter each. So the game plan here is I got to get the blanket off. I've got to remove the compressor housing on the turbo and get this and the pipe off of there. This has got to get polished up so that it's on the same level as the other ones. I mean, they're not like a full-on polish, but it's a lot better than just the grinder flap wheel. And I need to remove the turbo completely so that I can get the up pipe out of there and the down pipe, because that is all going to get wrapped. I may end up trying to bring the intake a little more over here, because if we can do that, then it'll be easier to hook the snorkel up when it's in use, because the plan is for when I don't need it, that snorkel's just going to be a restriction. This is way smaller than like this would be on its own. And, you know, right here, it necks down to, I don't even think that's, you know, it's probably 2.5 on the outside. So we're talking like 2.25. And it's got the little dimple back here too. So like it's a little restrictive. The idea is to just carry around the tube that goes on there so that it can be connected in place of the air filter, and then just take the filter and put it right here. So if I did need to use it for that function, I will do that. Otherwise, though, I think the plan is probably going to be to still utilize it, but for cooling. I also have a little bit of some other stuff that needs to get cleaned up that's been just sort of getting put off, and that is like all the door jambs and stuff. It's still red in there, so all that stuff needs to get blacked out. So I'm gonna have to do a bit of taping off. I've got the up pipe coated here. The pipe that goes right in front of the up pipe, the down pipe, the down pipe for the wastegate. So that pretty much takes care of all of the exhaust on the car to about this point. It pretty much gets me to behind the transmission, and after that the exhaust is, you know, not cool to the touch, but nowhere near as hot as it is up here in this part. I have gone back and I did a semi polish on the turbo. You can see like down in here there's still like the typical pits and whatnot that you would see. I got rid of a bunch of the casting marks. You can see I stopped like here, but that casting mark is pretty much gone. And I've got this pipe polished up to the same level as all the other pipes. Also, guys, you see this nut down in here? This is like friggin' impossible to get to. It is so difficult to tighten this nut. This one isn't the easiest to get to in the world either. But this is really, really difficult. There's barely enough room to get the nut in there. And then you actually have to have the nut over the hole when you slip the turbo on the studs. Because if you put it down on the studs and then try to put the nut on, the stud comes like this far away from the housing and you're not getting the nut on unless you like lift the turbo up some. And then you got to start it with your fingers before you can even drop it down all the way. It's a real pain in the ass. But the worst part is that once it's in there, the only thing that fits in between here is a stubby wrench, and you can't even like normally, like when a wrench is really tight, because of the way that they angle it, like if it's like this, you could get a little turn out of something and then you flip the wrench over and you can get it back in there. This is so tight I can't even do that. So I am gonna have to like shave the wrench down. Other thing I'm thinking about doing here is taking away some material on the turbo here and here to give me more room to swing a wrench. Because what happens is you go to tighten it up and the wrench hits the housing and then you're just wedged. You can't go any tighter. It's not good. So I'm working on that, guys, but hopefully I'll get her back together today. Doing some exhaust work on the car, driving it around. It's really raspy in the like 2,000 to 3,000 RPM range. Anything over that, I don't really mind the tone too much. I do wish it was a little quieter. The whole point of having this crazy exhaust setup was to keep it quiet in my neighborhood and everything. I've got a turbo muffler here. That's 18 inches long, and I have 18 inches from here to here. So basically just gonna cut it, slip it in, clean the paint off of that. All right, guys, it is later in the day. I've got the muffler on here in the back. Looks pretty normal. It just looks like that would be the muffler. And then that goes into this chambered one and we're good to go. Also added a heat shield. I got a piece of diamond plate. It was 1 foot by 2 foot. And this right now, I just literally cut it in half. So it's 1 foot by 1 foot. I bent that in the vise with a hammer. Used some more of these dress-up bolts. It's definitely very effective because the fans push a lot of air this way that would normally go right into the intake. And when I have a hand here and another hand here, there is a 15-20 degree difference when the fans are blowing. It's really noticeable. And I already got the intake temps. They were down about 40 degrees, but it was also 15 degrees cooler outside. This will definitely help a lot. That should be great. We've got the snorkel blowing just in the air filter's general direction. The one last thing I was going to do before I go in, I liked these blue when I first did them, but they've been chipping forever. So I'm going to pull them off, sand them down real quick, and put some black on them.
Here? It's over. Go home. Go.